Welcome to my presentation on the use of e-books and e-readers in school libraries. In the following video, we will be looking at the uses of e-books and e-readers in school libraries and the concerns that need to be addressed when adding e-books and e-readers to the curriculum. Libraries have had to adapt to new technologies throughout the ages, from handwritten works like scrolls to books and now computers. We have reached e-books and the devices that you read them on in recent years. Today it seems that technology is advancing faster than ever. It is important that librarians provide access to and instruction on new technologies such as e-books and e-readers, but adding these technologies to libraries is not as simple as making a purchase. Librarians must evaluate the options and determine how best to integrate these new technologies into the curriculum. As with any library, school libraries need to adapt to new technologies, not just because they are popular, although that is an important consideration, but also because it is important that we instruct our students in the use of new technologies that they will use in their education and beyond. When e-books were first developed, it was understandable that school libraries were reluctant to add them to their programs. They appeared to be a niche market and possibly a fad. However, it now appears that e-books are going to remain a part of the book experience for some time to come. As such, including e-books in the school library will be an important part of a student's library education. There are definite pros and cons in the use of e-books and e-readers in any library, but especially in school libraries. In the following slides, we will look at the benefits and concerns surrounding the use of e-books and e-readers in the school library, and to explore all the things that need to be considered in the use of e-books and e-readers in school libraries. As with all technology, e-books and e-readers have evolved rapidly. With the development of dedicated e-readers supported by major booksellers, they have increased in popularity over the last 20 years. Recent reports from sellers such as Amazon indicate that e-books are outselling hard copy books during some months. Despite this popularity, many school libraries are struggling to decide how best to add e-books and e-readers or tablet devices to their program. Some libraries are focusing solely on electronic books as a replacement for reference. While the benefits of electronic reference materials may be more demonstrable than fiction books, it is important for school libraries to consider the addition of fiction ebooks as well as nonfiction titles. One of the problems that many school libraries run into when trying to incorporate ebooks into the curriculum is the cost. School librarians may be enthusiastic about ebooks, but then become discouraged when they start pricing their options. For recent fiction and nonfiction, libraries may need to deal with a distributor such as Overdrive when purchasing ebooks for library use. The cost of a distributor can be high, as much as $3,000 annually. Additionally, ebooks are licensed, not purchased, and often have an annual contract, so instead of a one-time cost, if a library wants to maintain the same books in their collection across multiple years, they may have to purchase a new license every year. Some publishers have begun offering options for perpetual use licenses, but they are a higher expense up front than a license for a single year. On the other hand, the need to relicense books each year can be a benefit to school libraries. If a librarian licenses books that lose popularity and they want to weed that title from their collection, it is possible to weed the title by simply not purchasing a new license once the first expires. Then all that is needed is to remove the record from the library catalog. This avoids the hassle of weeding physical copies of books from the library shelves. Additionally, libraries can take advantage of single-year licenses to acquire multiple copies of a book that they anticipate will be highly in demand upon release, but that they will not have shelf space for, or they know from past experience will lose popularity over time. In addition to the expensive ebooks, some users simply prefer hard copy books. It is important to be sure that there will be a large enough group of users of the ebooks to justify the cost of adding them to the school library. Although this will be discussed more in depth later, it is also important to realize that some students may not have access to the devices needed to read ebooks outside of the library. On the other hand, some reluctant readers may be more likely to use an e-reader than a hard copy book. First, for the coolness factor, and second, because e-books are less visually intimidating than hard copy books. Some reluctant readers may refuse to read a book that looks too long if it's in hard copy, but be willing to try the e-book. There are some definite benefits of e-books. There is no way to lose a copy of an e-book, even if the e-reader or tablet being used to access the book is lost, stolen, or damaged. Once the lending period ends, the book is automatically returned to circulation for as long as the library continues to maintain the license. Reference materials in particular are much easier to update when the library is using an e-book. When Pluto was demoted from planet to dwarf planet, hard copy books needed to be replaced in order to provide students with accurate, up-to-date information. However, e-books could be updated with no cost to the library and no effort on the part of the school librarian. Then there are the free books. That's right, I said free. E-books provide school librarians with the unique opportunity to greatly expand their holdings of older books, particularly those that are now in the public domain. Programs such as Project Gutenberg and ManyBooks work to create free e-books from public domain works and provide those e-books free to the public. Librarians who might have been concerned about spending money on books that would circulate rarely, if at all, can now add those books to their collection without worrying about the cost. A great potential for e-books is the addition of primary source material to the school library at little to no cost to the school library. Primary source material can be expensive to acquire for any library, and as students learn to conduct research, teaching the importance of primary source material is something that school libraries may struggle with if they don't have access to a quantity of primary source materials. However, Project Gutenberg's collection of free public domain e-books contain many primary sources. A brief look at the Civil War bookshelf at Project Gutenberg turns up several primary sources, including those of Grant, Lee, Lincoln, and Stilwell. When working to add research using primary sources to the curriculum, e-books, both free and paid, can be an important part of the curriculum. Technical concerns surrounding the use of Project Gutenberg and similar sources would primarily be adding the books to the catalog. This can be addressed by Overdrive for libraries that use this service. For those that don't, the librarian will need to consider if it is truly necessary to add the books from these websites to their library catalog, or if links to the services on the library webpage is enough. School libraries will need to seriously consider lending e-reader or tablet devices when adding e-books to their collection. Schools with populations of students primarily from the upper and middle classes may not see the need to lend devices, as they may find that a large number of their student population already own their own device. In this case, it will be important to educate these students on how to use their devices with the e-book platforms available in the library. Schools may initiate a Bring Your Own Device program, where it is up to students to bring devices such as laptops, e-readers, and tablets for use in school under specific circumstances. Bring Your Own Device programs can cause libraries additional challenges, however. As there is no one standard device in use by students and teachers, a wider variety of platforms must be supported, and school librarians will need to be familiar with the various devices that students may use in order to provide support in using e-books on each of these platforms. However, in school districts where there are a high number of students on free or reduced price lunch programs, students may have little access to devices outside of school. In this case, it will be important to provide options for borrowing devices from the school library for an e-book borrowing program to be successful. Librarians will need to decide if they are going to focus on a specific device, such as a Kindle, Nook, or other e-reader, or if they would prefer tablets, and what tablet platform, if so. Offering a single type of device simplifies lending and provides uniformity of service. However, it may benefit students to have access to multiple types of devices and platforms, particularly when home access is limited. Additional considerations in a device lending program will need to include the costs of the devices that will be purchased, if the school will require some kind of parental consent before a student can borrow, and how that parental consent will be obtained, how to handle lost or stolen devices or damaged devices, and what, if any, overdue fees will be charged in the event of the late return of the device. Another concern in lending e-readers or tablet devices will be students making purchases from the device. School librarians will need to look into whether or not the devices they are lending can be prevented from allowing purchases, and if not, how they will handle purchases made by students on the devices when in their possession. Some school libraries consider purchasing e-readers and buying books directly from retailers such as Amazon or Barnes & Noble to avoid the costs of a program such as Overdrive. These schools need to look at the legalities of lending e-readers with books preloaded directly from the retailer, as it may be a violation of the retailer's terms of service. Lending the e-reader on its own is likely covered under the first sale doctrine. School librarians will need to consult with the school system's legal department before deciding to purchase e-books direct from retailers and lending them on e-readers. Amazon has a program for classroom management of Kindle devices called Whispercast, but it requires schools to purchase individual copies of the book for each device. E-books and e-readers are an important part of the reading experience today, and school libraries need to find a way to integrate these books into their programs. While there are challenges, They can be overcome with a little creativity on the part of the librarian. If there is little cash for the implementation of a platform such as Overdrive, then free books through websites like Project Gutenberg should be considered. Libraries can teach the technology by purchasing and lending e-readers or tablet devices using grants or funds from the school library collection development, or by working with their schools to implement bring-your-own-device programs. It looks as though e-books are here to stay, even if they're not going to replace hard copy books outright. So it will be important for school libraries to evaluate the options for integrating e-books into their program to ensure students are educated on how best to use the technology.